So under the philosophy of better safe than sorry, under the philosophy of above all do no harm, it's just easier and it's simpler to just say to folks, look, let's burn our tarot cards. When you see dog poop, put it in a bag and take it to the dump. Don't be playing in it. Just like with dreams. They started coming down on dreams because people could start becoming superstitious about their dreams. And it's not that there's something wrong with the dreams, but if we start looking for shortcuts, which naturally we want to do, rather than practicing making the attunement, then it's very easy to take a dream and say, oh, this dream is telling me that I should blah, blah, blah. And we stop thinking, we stop meditating on the situation, and we've got an easy answer. So I say, wait a second, maybe if people are going to do that with dreams, and dreams sort of invite that kind of thing, maybe it's just as well that we tell folks, don't mess with the dreams, don't mess with the tea leaves, just come here to church and we will practice our catechisms and our affirmations and our habits of 7 effective people or whatever, and we'll stay on the right and true, okay? And these have been formulas that have been worked out, that have been proven that they'll get you where you're going and so on, and we won't have a lot of this diversion. So that is some of the origin, I think, then on the creation of the taboos or negative feelings around these divination systems. But the spirit of it, the origin of it, was not as that. So what we want to do then is to come to recognize that when we throw the shells or play with the tarot cards, that we're actually going through a process of looking into a mirror. We're going through a process of seeing ourselves. We're going through a process whereby we know that the intuition of divine order is with us, but for some reason we're not in contact with it. Maybe we're scared. Maybe we have a developmental block or something of that sort, so we want a little nudge. So what is the thing for me to do? Well, it's the... I can't quite get it out. All right, so I throw the shells, and I look at the shells and say, oh, I see. And what the shells are doing is stimulating the awareness that was in here, but that we couldn't get to. Now, this process that happens through a number of different ways, but very often a synchronicity, like the toss of the shells. They arrive randomly on the ground, or we look up at the clouds, and that seems to be random, or the position, the cards that come up seems to be random. And the synchronicity, that is the apparent randomness, and yet we find something meaningful in the array, is our intuition being able to work with a process which is not a cause and effect, that the divine order is causing these cards to land this particular way, causing us to go and do this particular thing, but rather it's the same divine order that's being expressed in these cards that's being expressed in me right now, but I'm feeling a certain amount of block. And we'll come to see, by working with our intuition and recognizing our intuition at work in the divination, that in fact, inside of us is the tarot cards, inside of us are the seashells, inside of us is the I Ching, and that we can come over time to, when we are out of touch with divine order, to close our eyes and listen, and maybe a picture will appear. Close our eyes and listen, and maybe we'll hear a voice speak to us. Or just turn and look at one of our friends sitting around, and just their face tells us what we need to know. That the knowing divine order is everywhere. It's the possibilities for it exist in many places. It's told that the I Ching masters could see the hexagrams in the way the grass was blowing in the wind, that it would be there, that they didn't have to throw the stalks. At the same time, we can develop a sense of an appreciation, you might say, in the way a scholar does, that the psyche, the mind of creation, the mind of God, our mind, is very, very old, and it's been walked through a number of times, and there's a lot of knowledge that's been built up. And that there is some wisdom inherent in the hexagrams. There is some wisdom inherent in the tarot cards. There is some wisdom in these various patterns, because these patterns have been going on and people have been walking through these patterns many, many, many times. And so when we use a particular system that's been around, like the tarot or the runes or the I Ching, you have maybe hundreds, thousands of years of life experience are put into this particular system, saying, these are the main chords, these are the main melodies in the symphony of life. And so that when you are looking into, in your divination, looking into the oracle, you see not just reflected your intuition in terms of you knowing what to do, but you also see reflected the deep mind. And as you start to probe it, it can start teaching you, start taking you into deeper parts of your own mind, stimulating ideas, images, possibilities, so that there is a teacher there. At the same time that we can work with a system that's very old, that's has a lot of history to it, we can, by our own intention to be a vessel, be a channel, we can create a brand new system and have that system reflect a lot of wisdom without even knowing that we're doing it, because we are very ancient ourselves. Our mind, our psyche is very, very old. And play, especially when we're willing to just have fun and play around, we can see that we can be very inventive. The play, which is kind of like the spirit of synchronicity, where the random element, the fun element, comes in and fools around, that when we allow ourselves to be playful, we can, like kids when they say, out of the mouths of babes, these great wise sayings come, because it's all stored within. So you can have two contradictory things going on at the same time. You can have justified respect and reverence for a system, say as tarot or I Ching, that's very ancient, and a lot of collective wisdom is going into it. And at the same time, invent a totally brand new system that apparently has only whimsy in it, and the random act of fun at that particular time, and yet at the same time get value out of that. And hopefully, and the goal should be, in working with the divinatory system, is to A, become a student of human nature as it expresses itself in our lives, as is expressed in these systems, and at the same time start to gain respect for your own intuition, for your own ability to make the attunement. Because what you'll start seeing happening is you'll start to recognize that as you're doing the reading. Maybe it'll occur to you, you got these cards once before, but you're not saying the things that you said last time. In the back of your mind, you're remembering what you said last time, but this time you're not saying that, you're saying something different. Because what you're saying now makes more sense to you on this particular occasion, and you realize that your own intuition is governing what you're saying. Your own intuition is guiding you in your reading, and you're gradually starting to realize that your own intuition is playing a big role. It's being the secret guest all along, and it takes a while to learn that. We come often feeling perhaps out of touch with our intuition. We're feeling less confident of our intuition, but the tarot cards and so on, wow, they're really something. So we lean on them, we start working with them, we start finding insights through the process that work for us, and then we start to realize that this secret guest that's been present